doing several things at once. Nowadays, I'm checking email or confirming schedules or managing the staff. Back then, I would have been opening actual letters and envelopes and cataloging tapes. But the constant is I always have one ear on the show in case I'm needed. No matter where we broadcast from, my office is just a few steps from the studio. That June afternoon, Howard had called me in just before he started a segment about how he'd recently been to the dentist. I didn't know where he was going with it, and I wasn't particularly concerned. This was just another day at the office. He said the dental assistant there had taught him how to brush his teeth. Turns out he'd been doing it wrong all these years. A lot of people don't know how to brush, he said. Gary, get in here. When I entered the studio, he looked at me and said, I look in Gary's mouth and see a disaster going on. Let me ask you something. When you eat spicy food, does it bother your tongue? My tongue? Yeah, your gums, your tongue. No, I answered. That's because he's burned everything out, Robin chimed in. I smoked back then, a lot. But your gums don't ever burn and you don't get infections in your gums, Howard asked. I haven't had that problem in a while. Well, what happens when you get food caught in there and you start to smell, he continued. I've kissed women and I've never had anyone complain, I said. She must be in a coma, your girlfriend. She's unconscious for breathing in all those fumes. I don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but you have to do something about those gums. Let me turn you on to my dentist. They're going to have to put on one of those astronaut suits to go in there, Robin said. Then she pretended to sound like an astronaut reporting over static radio to Earth. We're going in now. Yeah, they're going to have to put on a spacesuit to get in Gary's mouth, Howard continued. I mean, everyone gets bad breath, but yours is unbelievable. That's not true, I said meekly. I thought, why are they busting my balls? I get that it's good for the show, but isn't it going pretty far? Gary, Robin said, I am over here wilting. Robin's eyes are watering, Howard said. Come on, Gary, take a hint. No one in my life has ever told me I have bad breath, I said. Oh, please, face it, man. You need a mouth transplant, Howard replied. I just can't believe you guys are having fun with this. I just can't believe it. Seriously, it's pretty damn bad when your mouth is your smelliest orifice, Howard said. Then the studio erupted with laughs and catcalls. Oh, no, he's starting to cry, Howard said. Listen, I'm going to make a dental appointment for you, but your bad breath is famous. I'm going to make it under a fake name. I don't want the dentist to know you're coming. Really, I smell tuchus is better than that. Gary's proctologist put his finger in Gary's mouth. He said, open up. Oh, my God, you have teeth in there? The man talks through his tuchus. I just want the listeners to know I do not have bad breath, I said. Oh, Gary, wake up and smell your breath, Howard said. Look at Gary, he's getting all upset. Well, I'm going to get you an appointment with my gal Judy for your birthday, Howard said. And you know her motto, when you see Judy, you don't smell like duty. I swear, homosexuals smell Gary's breath and they go into heat. He thinks they are flirting with them. He's sending out a scent. Let's take a break. I was moderately irritated during the commercial, but I told myself the same thing as I always did. Deal with it. They're just busting your balls. Move on. We have other stuff to do on the show. If you're just joining us, we've been giving Gary a hard time about his breath, Howard said when he came back on the air. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring people in and ask them to smell his breath. You know what, I said? This is not a good morning for it. I've been smoking a lot of cigarettes, and I drank that Nutrisystem shake, and it coats your mouth. I'll lose. Get some of the workmen in the hallway. Bring them in. Hi, how are you? Are you a carpenter? No, I'm a painter, said a man with a thick Italian accent. We don't know you, right? Are you a fan of the show, Howard asked. No, he said, not really. I want you to do me a favor. See that guy in the blue shirt? Gary Dell'Abate is his name. Oh, that is my paisano, he said. I want you to smell his breath. Oh, my God. He's a good guy, but his mouth to me is smellier than his tuchus. Well, we put a little shellac in the mouth and polish it up. I don't think that will help. Now, do you mind if he breathes in your face? I did it. There was no reaction. Gary, Howard said, do me a favor. Say, hello, boss. Hello, boss. I knew the painter was going to say something mean. He had to. He was on the radio and wanted to be funny. Ooh, he needs some mouthwash, the painter said. How bad is it? 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, Howard asked. I go near the 8, but if he goes in the shower today, he's a new man. We took another break, and I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The next caller on the line was Howard's mom. I think that you're really hitting the bottom of the barrel to do a show about Gary's breath. I think you've hit a new low. Gary is so devoted and sweet and wonderful. I've been near him and never smelled anything like what you're talking about. It's very unfair of you. Let me tell you something, Ma. We work with the guy every day. I know you do, and he's wonderful. And this is the way you show your love? If someone did this to you, Howard, you would hit the ceiling. Mommy, they took a poll, and 4 out of 5 dentists said he doesn't own a toothbrush. It's the worst-smelling orifice on his body, and if I don't tell him, who's going to tell him? Gary, do you appreciate this? No, I really don't, boss, because I don't believe it. How could you do this to Gary? Howard's mom said. He's so devoted to you. I'm doing this out of love. How do you think his mother's going to feel? We'd soon find out, because when I got home later that day, Howard called. I was watching Jeopardy, which I watched every day. I am a trivia genius, after all. How you doing, he said to me. Howard did never call to ask me how I was doing. I said, okay. Were you okay with today? Yeah, actually, I hadn't given it any thought. He'd been making fun of me for years, and he never apologized. I'm sorry if I was too hard on you this morning. Howard, what is this all about? Well, your mother called my mother. She was very upset. Then my mother called me and said, I better call you and apologize, so I'm sorry. I was mortified. Whose mother calls their boss's mother to complain about their son's treatment? All I wanted to do was get off the phone with him so I could call my mom and ask her what the fuck was she doing. Howard didn't know anything about how I grew up or my mom's tendency for outbursts and her history with depression. Suddenly I was 10 years old again and remembering how anxious I got when she and I were out in public. Would she lose it? Would somebody be asking me the next day if she was crazy? Was Gary's crazy mom going to be a recurring bit on the show, just like it was in Uniondale Park? And then I realized it was something worse. My mom calling the office every day to yell at someone, like she used to do to my dad's secretaries, co-workers, and boss. I decided I needed to show her I was a big boy, that I didn't need coddling. And in a way, I wanted her to hear that calling my boss's mom made things worse for me, not better. So I said to Howard, listen, tomorrow I want you to hammer me as hard as you ever have. He had no problem with that. After we hung up, I called my mom. Mom, you gotta be kidding. You can't do that to me. I'm a grown-up. I have my own apartment. I live in Manhattan. I know, she said, but you sounded so upset. That's the show, Mom, I was yelling. Why wouldn't you call me, not her? I was really angry, not just because of what she did, but because I wanted to be clear that she was never to call my office or anyone I worked with ever again. Maybe it was a singular moment of clarity for her, because I never once heard about her interfering again. But I still spent many months after that being wary whenever I got ripped on the show. I was never out of the woods. It reminded me of something my father always said about my mom. She does the right thing in the wrong way, and the way she does it pisses everyone off. In junior high, I first started exploring the idea of dating girls. There was one girl in particular I liked to flirt with, and we began passing notes to each other in class. I don't think we had ever been alone together or held hands, let alone kissed, but we joked about a lot of stuff. At the end of one of the notes she sent to me, she added, P.S. I'm pregnant and you did it and now you're going to pay. If you were 13 and read that note in context, you'd know it was a joke and you'd think it was hilarious. I tucked it in my wallet and forgot about it. The next day, I accidentally left my wallet and my lunch money at home.